The Russian Canvas is a book about Russian painting from the mid-18th to the late 19th century. So it's trying to recover this period which so often gets ignored in explorations of Russian painting, which focus either on the icon period, early icon painting, or on the extraordinary efflorescence of talent around the avant-garde. So what I've always been interested in is what happens in between. The book starts really in about 1757, which is when the Academy of Arts was founded, this incredible art school that has weathered every period of Russian and Soviet history and is still one of Russia's most prestigious places where painters and sculptors and architects would train. And it tracks the emergence of professional artists. So when the Academy was founded, largely Russian artists were treated as secondary citizens. They were thought not as good as their Western counterparts. They were often treated as craftsmen in the service of the state. By the third quarter of the 19th century, there was phenomenal energy behind the Russian artistic scene, and Russian artists were holding their own on an international stage. So what my book is trying to do is look at what happened in this incredible period of 125, 130 years, where Russia went from something of a standing start when it came to the education in the fine arts and the development and professionalization of artists to this extraordinary cultural scene certainly by the mid-19th century. So the Academy figures large, but it also looks at some extraordinarily rich areas. So there's a significant line that's looking at portrait painting, often looking at surf artists who were particularly active as portrait painters. It looks at landscape painting, it looks at genre painting, it looks at some of the great big history painters of the 19th century, Brulov, Ivanov. It's trying to excavate artists who've been neglected as well. And through all of this, one of my prime aims was to stop thinking about Russian art as something on the periphery, something that's being marginalized in Western art history, but instead to look at ways in which it interacted with the West, so where it sits in the big Western European canon.